עץ חיים היא למחזיקים בה ותומכיה מאושר דרכיה דרכי נועם וכל נתיבותיה שלום.
Our Torah portion, Mikeitz, is read this year during Hanukkah. And I think that is a happy coincidence, because I believe that the message of Hanukkah and Mikeitz have something to do with each other. Hanukkah warns us to be on guard against adversaries that might destroy the Jewish people. Well, certainly there have been, and there continues to be, the enemies of the Jewish people that would want to remove us from the pages of history, and would want to remove us from the future of humanity. And certainly we have to be on guard against that sort of threat. But there's also a more subtle kind of adversary, a challenge to the Jewish people's survival, and that is assimilation. The story of Hanukkah tells us about both of these two kinds of challenges to the Jewish people. Certainly Antiochus, the king of the Syrian Greeks, wanted to physically remove the Jewish people from history. But there were also, we read in the story of Hanukkah, Jews who were more than willing to not only acculturate, not only to adopt the positive aspects of the Greek culture, but to totally assimilate into the Greek culture. They were more than willing to give up any traces of their Jewish identity. Well, in this week's Torah portion, we read about Joseph's meteoric rise in the power structure of Egypt. We see, after having been sold by his brothers into slavery, he was falsely accused of a transgression that caused him to end up in prison for 2 years. And during those 2 years in prison, he established a reputation of being a very accurate interpreter of dreams. And we read about dreams that Pharaoh has, and Joseph is called to interpret those dreams, and he interprets them so correctly, so wisely, that Pharaoh appoints him as the vice-regent, the vizier, the prime minister of Egypt, in charge of all of the economic affairs of the country. And we also see that Joseph becomes the first diaspora Jew, the first Jewish person to live most of his life outside of the land of Israel. Joseph would never make it back to the land of Israel. He would marry an Egyptian woman by the name of Asenath, who was the daughter of Potiphar, the priest of On. He would even have his own name changed to an Egyptian name. His children would be born in Egypt. We see that he is a person who has totally assimilated into a non-Jewish culture. He even names his first son Manasseh, meaning God has helped me to forget. To forget what? To forget about the suffering that he had incurred in his father's home. Now, of course, toward the end of the story, we see a remarkable reconciliation between Joseph and his family, and not only between Joseph and his family, but Joseph and his religious tradition. He asks that his bones someday be taken back into the land of Canaan, when the Jews would would finally leave Egypt after 400 years of servitude, Joseph wanted to be buried in the land of Israel. And it seems to me that there's much to learn about ourselves, we diaspora Jews, in the story of Hanukkah and in the story of Joseph. That no matter how far that we may have strayed from our Jewish tradition, that we can always come back, that we can always retrieve and to reestablish ourselves within the Jewish family. Even if we've intermarried, even if we are not particularly learned in our culture, it is never too late in life to come back to Judaism and to reestablish that important connection between ourselves and our religious heritage. I believe this is the essential message of Hanukkah and one of the essential messages of this week's Torah portion, Mikeitz. Shabbat Shalom and Happy Hanukkah.